appreciate your time and thank you so very much for joining us. Well, you got what do we have ahead of RIL AGM? You got Reliance Geo Financial Services, or I would say Geo Financials. I mean, it's not Reliance, Geo Financial Services, which has recovered from the day's low. And the same stock was just moving from circuit to circuit, and today it is moving on the upside, 2% higher for Geo Financial Services. Reliance AGM, and what should one expect specifically in terms of vision statement, specifics of retail, Geo, new energy business, and messaging in terms of whether the demerger will happen or not. Abneesh, Executive Director with Nuvama Institutional Equities, joins us, and we've got Gurmeet Chadha Gurmeet joins us to give us a sense of what we should expect on an aggregate level. All right, gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Who wants to start first?
Sure, I'll start first. Thanks.
Anchor, let me decide. Okay. Abneesh, why don't you start?
Sure, thanks. So yes, we are definitely excited by the new launch of Reliance Retail on the Usta. So first store has already come out in Hyderabad, and we expect around 200 stores opening in FY24. Our view is clearly Trend's Zudio format has been extremely successful, and that kind of a success now clearly is exciting other players also. And even Max has done a very good job there. So these two players have really created this sub-segment of the value fashion. So a lot of the products of the Usta will be below $9.99, and most of those will be in fact below $4.99. The challenge here will be the fashion quotient has to be changing very, very rapidly. So that is the design aspect which has to be taken care of. What works for Reliance is already they are present in a huge number of stores. They have been in this business, but now it is much sharper pricing, and definitely in terms of the store expansion also, there will be competition. So every player is now entering this. Shoppers Stop also has entered this through their own brand, and all other apparel players also eyeing this. So it will be competitive. So in our sense, clearly Trend, the Zudio is a early mover advantage that's there. But for other players, it will be much higher competition, and definitely they'll have to go the extra mile because Trend Zudio is already a very big success there.
So Abneesh, in terms of the specifics here, do you think there could be a specific mention on demerger, whether it happens this time or next time, we don't know, but could he just set the tone in terms of sowing the seed that eventually that's where Reliance will go in terms of unlocking value?
Yeah, sure. So we will also monitor the AGM speech and AGM what happens there on this. But definitely investors have been looking forward to this. Obviously, with so much of consolidation happening in the hyper grocery, for example, most other players have either been acquired by Reliance or they have shut shop. So clearly, in grocery, Reliance is extremely big. They have all these tie-ups with the different internet players also in terms of selling the stake to the key strategic players. And in other formats, also Reliance has done well. Obviously, it is India's largest physical retailer by a huge mile. So yes, there is a lot of hope that at some stage this demerger will be there. Value unlock will be there. But without that, also if you see clearly they are doing well, and the kind of expansion, the kind of white spaces they are closing. So in the value retail, Usta was a missing link, and now we have seen that also. But yes, definitely in the AGM, we'll monitor what's happening on the value unlock.
Purely from an equity market perspective, do you think it's now only value unlocking and listing of the subsidiaries that's going to make the market happy? Gurmeet?
To me, Asha, sorry.
Yes, to you.
Yeah. No, I think it's both, Asha. So if you remember in 2019, they spoke about in 5 years they want to list the retail arm, and the way they have been doing acquisitions, and considering that they just received $1 billion from Qatar QAI at $100 billion valuation. That's almost double of where they initially did the first stake sale, which was pre-money. Also, I think I would be eagerly looking forward to the announcements in Geo Financial. Considering that's the latest one which got emerged. They're stitching together a good team. It's a great brand. They have a good capital base, and more importantly, they have the technology and data analytics. So this is what you need, for any financial services to do well. I would also be more interested in what their plans, capex plans are on the energy front. Mr. Mani has hinted at eventually producing green hydrogen at almost at $1. So one concern of the market which has resurfaced in last 12 months is again rising debt. Are they doing too much capex again? Something similar to what they did in Geo from 2013 to 18. So that I think they would want to address. And this is, if I can call that, it's a little early maybe. It's our version of the Berkshire, our own version of the Berkshire AG, one of the keenest events looking forward. So I think the market would be interested more in the operational performance, especially on the capex and the debt side, and obviously the value unlocking of all the three arms.
What, Gurmeet, to your mind, could be the market cap of Geo Financials 3 to 5 years from now? I mean, ultimately, if it has a balance sheet which is rich, it has data which is magnificent, it has reach like no one has, and it has a brand on top of it. Where do you think a business like this could be in terms of a pure market cap? I mean, it could be a outlandish number, but if you have to, let's say, throw a dart, what could be that number?
I think looking at, if I just derive it, if you look at their lendable net worth, I'm not talking about the total net worth, and if they go organically, they will probably hit about 80,000 crores to 1 lakh crore kind of a loan book. And inorganically, I'm sure they will. The way they have done in retail, they would. So I think they can probably get a similar valuation of 4 or 5 multiples which something like a Bajaj Finance or a Chola gets, considering low cost of funds, the team they are stitching, the brand, etc. So I will not be surprised if it's between 4 to 5 lakh crore kind of a valuation in, let's say, 4 or 5 years from now. And I'm including some, as I said, inorganic acquisitions. Purely through organic route, which I don't think so they would pursue, it may not go to 4 or 5 lakh crores because, you may lend too much, but your collection infra, both physical and digital, takes time. Your credit underwriting skills get evolved. You have to see one bad credit cycle to see how good irrespective of whatever be your experience. Only once you experience it, you figure out. So I think considering that they will go inorganic, I think anywhere between 4 to 5 lakh crores in mind.
Abneesh, anything that you think the street will closely be watching out for when it comes to Reliance Retail, particularly that recent investment?
Yeah, I think 2, 3 things on the used what will be the longer term plans. We know for FY24 they are targeting 200 kind of stores, but what will be the longer time frame here and how they will differentiate versus a Zudio or say a Max. Second will be on the JioMart e-commerce, how are things panning out there, because clearly a lot of the other e-commerce players have started focusing on profitability, and in terms of the initial plans, where are the deliverables, monitorables there. So those I think will be the key points we'll be looking forward to in terms of more clarity. And on the last point will be on the jewelry. Clearly we have seen Titan do so well now, CaratLane also now almost 98% stake Titan has. So what will be the plans for Reliance in those kinds of e-commerce platforms? They have the overall e-commerce, but focused on say jewelry, etc. What will be the plans there?
So, Abneesh, 3 years out, what to your mind could be the market cap of Reliance Retail? Now, whether that happens because of listing or whether that happens because of another PE deal, but what to your mind could be the derived market cap of Reliance Retail?
No, I will not be able to comment on that because we don't cover that. Obviously, it is part of the Reliance Industries. So those will be the right analysts to speak to. But yes, in terms of growth, in terms of scale, obviously Reliance is there at the top in terms of most of those top 2, top 3, definitely. Plus, yeah, as I said, a lot of consolidation has happened, and definitely we have seen in the physical grocery, for example, only Avenue Supermart is the large player left. Trends, Star Bazaar is also picking up. So we are seeing consolidation benefits clearly, and in the e-commerce also now most players are focusing on profitability, which also implies that the peak of the discounting is behind us, and now it will be a more profitable and a sustainable growth for most players. And Reliance obviously is the big daddy there. So difficult for me to comment on the valuation part, but definitely this will be a stock which I think investors will be clearly awaiting. And also on the tie-ups with the Kirana, for example, where can that value creation happen, because that's a huge opportunity.
As from now, we shall get answers to all of this as well as a lot more clarity on the news and announcements. Abneesh, Gurmeet, pleasure having you both on board. Thanks so much for taking time out and joining in. With news that the index is currently at 19,000